All right, so I am simulcasting, doing the Zoom, and also simulcasting on my business page. So let's see if I can actually do two things at once. So this is going to be a very different class from what I normally do. Normally, I am a PowerPoint girl. I love the visuals, but tonight I'm keeping it super simple and conversational. And if you have questions, please chime in with your questions. But I'm going to be talking about CBD, which is all the rage, and talking about why Young Living has put essential oils in CBD, because I'm going to be really upfront and say, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And I don't want to say that I was resistant, but I'm probably one of the last people to come to this rodeo with CBD because I know how powerful Young Living oils are. I know what they do. And it's like, why would we need CBD? So I'm going to give you guys a crash course on everything that I've learned, because I really needed to understand myself how the CBD works and why did Young Living actually get involved in this? Like that was really my big question. So I'm going to talk about what I've learned, and this is going to be a big learning curve, but I've learned a lot over the last couple of months. And I'm going to talk about why Young Living would put their essential oils in CBD and why purity is important, and then actually how to use CBD. I'm even going to get a little into the legal stuff because I am an attorney and I just can't help myself. So for those who are on Zoom right now, if you have questions, type them in the chat. I'm going to make sure that I open up the chat. And you're welcome to turn your video on if you want to. And okay, so I'm just going to dig right in. So in the world of CBD, we've got hemp and we have marijuana. We're not talking marijuana at all. So let's just take that right off the table, because hemp and marijuana are two different things. Now, when we talk about hemp, from hemp comes CBD. CBD can either be with THC, which is the psychoactive part of CBD, or it can be without THC. So you just get pure CBD. So the one thing that really intrigued me about hemp and how it's grown is that it actually cleans the soil. So when hemp is planted, it can pull toxins and heavy metals right out of the soil. I think that's fascinating. And so a lot of farmers are actually planting hemp to clean up the soil, to clean up whatever has been there. I know that there's hemp being grown down in Kentucky, and Kentucky is known for having a lot of abandoned tobacco fields. So is the hemp going into Kentucky to clean up the tobacco fields? I don't know. I think that's kind of awesome. But I really want you to keep in mind, because I'm going to keep coming back to this. To me, this is one of the most important parts of CBD, is coming back to the fact that hemp will pull toxins and heavy metals out of the ground and out of the soil. So keep that at the top of your mind. Now, in December of 2018, in the Farm Bill, so I used to be a lobbyist in DC for about 4 years. I still do some lobbying work at the state level here in Michigan, and even at the federal level. But in the Farm Bill, somebody, in all their brilliance, they did a great job. They snuck in an aspect to the Farm Bill. They snuck in a provision to unschedule CBD and hemp, because it was a Schedule 5 drug, which means it was illegal in many states. It was definitely illegal at the federal level. And so it was put into the Farm Bill, unscheduled it. It is no longer a scheduled drug. There's Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3. I mean, there's 5 schedules of drugs. But CBD became legal in federal law Not necessarily all states. You're going to have to check your state law. But in federal law, so long as it has 0.3% or less of THC, the psychoactive part of the drug. So I just wanted to get that out there. That's kind of where we've been. And because CBD and hemp has been illegal for so long, a lot of the research that has been done is new. I mean, we're looking at 2017, 2018 studies. You're not going to see a lot of old studies because it was illegal. Who's going to give money to study something that's illegal? Not many people. So, all right, Stella just jumped up on the. Say hi, Stella. So Stella is here. Okay, we already got a question. Yes, please ask questions. I'm going to try to answer them as they come in. Okay, we got a question on Zoom. Is Young Living Nature Ultra CBD okay to travel with? Yes. So I asked that at convention. I actually pulled aside the attorney with Nature's Ultra. It is absolutely safe to travel with. Even though some states haven't legalized it, when you are traveling through interstate and you're on airplanes, that's federal law. Now, when you land, that could be a whole different thing. So the question is there a central place for people to find out due to traveling in different states? That I don't know. Contact Nature's Ultra. Maybe their legal department has that. That's a great question. Okay, so now I want to talk about the endocannabinoid system. So cannabinoids, CBD, cannabinoids are compounds that actually bind in the endocannabinoid. I don't know, for those of you on Zoom, I don't know if you can see this. Stella is like hanging, oh my gosh. I'm getting dive bombed by my cat, Stella. Okay, so clearly she wants to be a part of this. Anyway, this is what happens when we're live. So our body has an endocannabinoid system that has existed far before CBD existed. So I just find it interesting, the name. So the endocannabinoid system, we have receptors all over our body, you know, in our brain, all over our body. There are over 113 known different cannabinoids found in hemp. They all do something a little bit different. And what they do is they work with these receptors. So imagine you got these little receptors in your body, and they will actually go into them and help to balance and help to regulate. So the endocannabinoid system, listen to what it regulates. Teresa, is it safe to use CBD oil on cats? It depends. It depends, and I'm going to get to that. So the endocannabinoid system regulates appetite, pain, mood, memory, nervous system, digestion, immune system, inflammation, energy, sleep, reproduction, motor control, temperature, and the pain pleasure function. So that's a lot that our endocannabinoid system does. Now, when any of these get out of whack, the endocannabinoid system sends out endocannabinoids that our body produces. Our body produces this. So our body will send out endocannabinoids and enzymes to go into these receptors to bring that area back into balance. So a good example is when you're hot, you sweat, and when you're cold, you shiver. That's the body sending out endocannabinoids to the receptors to get you back in balance, okay, if that makes sense. So the whole goal of our endocannabinoid system is homeostasis. And I like to talk about homeostasis that if you've ever gone and gotten a blood test, you'll have values that are hyper and hypo, right? The endocannabinoid system, and basically our body wants to be right here, right in the center. That's called homeostasis. That's balance. Not a smidge over here and a smidge over there, but you're within values. No, the endocannabinoid system says here. That's where it wants us. So there are two proven receptors in this endocannabinoid system. There's likely more, but there are two absolutely hands down proven. One is called CB1, and this really regulates our nervous system, our brain, our lungs, our thyroid, our sexual organs, our bones, and lots of other things. And then CB2 regulates our immune system and our gastrointestinal system, as well as some other things. Now, hemp CBD, whether it has THC or not, binds to the CB2 receptors. So it's really helping the immune system, the gastrointestinal system. But they react differently to CB1. So as I talk to people about CBD, just like I do about oils, I'm like, you have got to find what works for you, because what works for me may not work for you. This is a natural botanical. You've really got to tweak this and find out what works for you, because we're all different, and how our receptors are working is going to depend on what CBD you're using, how you're using it, how much, what, and anything else that's going on. So what I want to do now is talk about, there's different forms of CBD oil. There's basically four. One I'm not even going to talk about because it's synthetic and it's actually killing people. So don't ever buy a synthetic CBD, okay? Just don't do it. Number two, probably the most popular that you're going to see everybody saying huge, amazing things about, is called full spectrum. Okay, so full spectrum uses the whole plant, the stem, the leaves, the branches. I mean, it uses everything. Full spectrum can contain THC. They actually, when a full spectrum bottle says it's THC free, there probably still is some THC in it. They've just gotten it to a level where they can label it that way, but it doesn't mean it is truly 100% THC free. So for people who have to take drug testing, you really need to be careful about full spectrum. So full spectrum, because it uses the whole plant, it also contains a lot of parts and pieces in it, including terpenes. Terpenes are what really pull the trigger on CBD, creating an entourage effect in our body. I'm going to come back to that, okay? But terpene is like the key, and it turns the engine. So terpenes are a huge, huge deal, okay? This is why companies who have full spectrum, they're like, only use full spectrum because we got the terpenes naturally in it and we're awesome. Okay, now here's the thing. Full spectrum, because it uses the whole plant. Remember how I talked about how hemp pulls toxins and heavy metals out of the soil? Guess where it's going? It's going into the plant. So this is where if you are using a full spectrum CBD oil, which I will not, that's just me personally, I will not, you really got to dig in, not to what the company says on their website, but you have to really trust this company and know them so that they're being truthfully honest with you, that there is no heavy metals and there are no toxins in their CBD. Because if they're using the whole plant, those toxins and those heavy metals are in the plant, okay? So this is why full spectrum, it's got the wonderful terpenes, but you could have some toxins in there and some heavy metals. So what we know with FDA, there are no standards on what full spectrum means. There are no real labeling laws when it comes to this. So while the THC in a full spectrum by law should be below 0.3%, many companies are actually mixing in other things, and you don't know what you're getting until you take a drug test. Okay, THC actually can accumulate in the body. So this is just something to be aware of. Now, a third category is called broad spectrum. It's actually labeled as a full spectrum, and they're saying it's without THC. Well, again, how can you have full spectrum without THC if you're using the whole plant? So, buyer beware, because there are no FDA standards. And then the fourth is actually called CBD isolate. Now, that's what Young Living has, okay? I'm going to be honest about that. That's what Young Living has. CBD isolate is a pure crystalline powder that is 99% pure CBD and only CBD. Now, why is it only 99% and not 100? Because you're going to get some inert plant matter in there, okay? That's what happens. But they can guarantee 99% pure CBD, no toxins, no heavy metals, nothing icky from the soil, because they are isolating out the CBD and junking the rest. They're getting rid of it. In that process, though, they get rid of the terpenes. So remember how I said the terpene is like the key that turns the engine and creates this wonderful entourage effect in the body? CBD isolate doesn't have terpenes. It's like, oh, that's not good. So when I've been doing all of this research online and going around to local stores and photographing all of these bottles of CBD, I'm frankly surprised I haven't been kicked out of stores, but I've had every store manager approach me and ask me what I'm doing. It's like, I'm just taking pictures. I'm getting ready for a class. 100% true. And I'm never going to bash companies by name, because honestly, I don't have the time to look into their products. I looked into some and I was actually quite horrified, so I stopped. But when you're looking at a CBD isolate, which is what Young Living Nature Ultra CBD is, all the plant matter, including the oils in it, the terpenes, the waxes, the chlorophylls, the toxins, the heavy metals, are all removed. You end up with a powder. And they use a system called supercritical CO2. Reputable companies are using this system to actually extract the CBD, supercritical CO2. I don't know what it is. I haven't seen it, but that's what is the most reputable process for this. So what it does is it actually strips out THC 100%. It's gone. So you can consume a CBD isolate without fear of testing positive for drugs. Now, the military still bans all CBD, but other people who have to take drug tests, you can take a CBD isolate and you're going to be fine. Now, because it's a powder, the best thing to do to really activate it is to add a fatty oil. Now, Nature's Ultra adds MCT coconut oil. MCT stands for, oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. Something chain triglycerides. I just completely drew a blank on that. Medium chain triglycerides. And it's coconut oil. It's really good for the brain and our body absorbs it. So I've had other people say, oh, that's horrible. You need to use hemp oil because hemp oil comes from the hemp plant. Okay, hemp oil actually is harder for our body to absorb. So coconut oil, MCT oil, is really easy for our body to absorb. So Nature's Ultra is using MCT rather than hemp oil so that the body doesn't have to work so hard to absorb it. So honestly, just because it comes from the hemp plant doesn't necessarily mean it's superior for absorption, okay? That's what I've learned and that's what I've discovered. So this fatty oil is fat soluble and absorbable by the body. But the big thing about the isolate is that the terpenes are gone. So you know what Young Living did? They put essential oils in, because guess what essential oils are packed with? Terpenes. Absolutely packed with terpenes. Some are higher than others, and I'm actually going to go through them. So they put terpene-rich essential oils, Young Living therapeutic grade essential oils, back into the CBD. This one's cinnamon. And they didn't do it to flavor it. They did it to put the key in and turn the engine without the toxins and the heavy metals. Isn't that amazing? It took me a while to figure that out. It took me a while. So let's talk about this entourage effect. So I talked about the terpenes create this entourage effect. Think about what an entourage is. An entourage is you're surrounded by all your people. And they lift you up and they support you and they make you feel good, okay? Think about the entourage that's around politicians and Kim Kardashian. Yeah, they lift them up and keep them safe and help them feel better. Now, here's the thing. If you are using Young Living oils, you are already getting the entourage effect because they have terpenes in them. They may not have CBD, but they have terpenes. Terpenes create an entourage effect, which means all the parts are working together for a result. This is why the distillation process is so important when it comes to these, because a distillation is rushed. if it's at the wrong time, if it ends too soon, if it starts too early, if they're using solvents and chemicals, kills the entourage effect with essential oils and with CBD. So there are some companies out there saying that only THC, the psychoactive part of CBD, can create an entourage effect. Not true. Not true. That is just flat out false. It's the terpenes that create it. So terpenes actually give plants their aroma. Terpenes bind to these CBD receptors. Remember I talked about CB1, CB2? They bind to them, which is what you want. Terpenes love fat. So the MCT coconut oil, they love the fat. Terpenes don't like water. They don't like water. So they love the fat so that the terpenes can actually interact with your cell membranes, your nerves, your muscles, your neurological receptors. This is why the MCT is so important, because you need that fatty oil to absorb. Now, let me tell you about what some of the terpenes are. So you probably heard of monoterpene and sesquiterpene and that sort of thing. You don't even have to know what it is, but there are all sorts of terpenes. One of the highest level terpene is called beta-caryophyllene. And guess what the highest essential oil with beta-caryophyllene is? Copaiba. All right, we got a question. Can you say again what the terpenes interact with in our body? Cell membranes, nerves, muscles, neurological receptors. I mean, they interact with everything, absolutely everything. So beta-caryophyllene is the highest terpene, and copaiba is the highest beta-caryophyllene. So copaiba in CBD, talk about sticking the key in and revving that engine. Copaiba is an awesome one. Now, why Young Living and Nature's Ultra hasn't put copaiba in our CBD, I do not know this for a fact. I actually think it's a supply issue. I think it's a supply issue. So we probably just don't have enough copaiba because it comes from the Amazon. It's not easy to get and distill. So the second terpene is limonene. You probably heard limonene. It's in grapefruit and orange and lemon. That's a terpene. Linalool is a terpene. So that's your coriander, your thyme, your marjoram, basil, neroli, all very high in linalool. Fourth one is alpha-pinene. This is your conifers. Okay, it's your conifer trees. It's eucalyptus, sage, rosemary, and frankincense. The fifth terpene is beta-pinene. So this is galbanum, pine, spruce, nutmeg, even lemon. The sixth one is beta-myrcene, and that's going to be rosemary, basil, celery, parsley, pepper, lemongrass, even sacred frankincense. And then the last one is alpha-humulene, and that terpene is copaiba, geranium, rosemary. Now there's a lot more, but these are like the top ranked in each of those terpenes. Any of those you can put into a CBD, a CBD isolate, and turn that trigger on the engine. Isn't that cool? I think that's kind of cool. And I have communicated with Nature's Ultra, and they said, oh yeah, you can put whatever oils you want in. Once you get the product home, you can do what you want. So what this MCT coconut oil does by mixing it into the CBD isolate powder, they put the MCT oil in, and then they put the essential oils in. What that carrier oil does is, because it's fatty, the CBD lasts longer in the body. I just think that's kind of nifty. So when it comes to purity, Young Living Seed to Seal standard is unmatched by any other essential oil company, because they've been doing that standard 5 years even before the company was created. So they are 30 years into this, and it'd really be nice if other companies did it, but they don't have the farmland, and they don't have the equipment or the technology or the knowledge or the research that Young Living does. So Young Living Seed to Seal process is now also with Nature's Ultra, because they have an organic hemp farm in Colorado that is seed to seal 100%. So all the CBD products are not only organic, but they're vegan, they're gluten-free, they're non-GMO, they are no THC, like 100% no THC. Now, let me tell you something. I love to look at research studies. There was a 2017 study that found that 20% of CBD products actually contain THC when they said they did not. That's scary. And 70% of online CBD products were mislabeled. They didn't disclose proper levels of THC, or they over-labeled the CBD content. So dosing was way off because the labels didn't match what was in the body. And this is why you have to trust your supplier. You have to. So I've gone around locally here to all of these stores. I mean, we have CBD being sold in a video store here in Lansing, Michigan. No, I'm sorry. I appreciate that they want to create another income stream. No, friends don't let friends buy CBD at video stores or essential oils at gas stations, because I'm seeing that too. You really have to trust your supplier. And I've gone online. I have researched about 6 different companies. I mean, when I read, this is what I hear. Want, 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 want. They can say whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. So let's talk about the laws, because that's my thing. So CBD, like essential oils, are not regulated, but guess what is regulated? False and misleading claims and mislabeling. So FDA is really looking into CBD because they're kind of flipping out over this. So let me read you something that is right on the FDA website, because that's how I like to spend my Saturday nights. That's what I did last night, researching the FDA website. This is what it says. It is currently illegal to put into interstate commerce, that means crossing state lines, a food to which CBD has been added, or to market CBD as a dietary supplement. You want to know what that means? It is illegal to label CBD for ingestion, period. They are a little freaked out about ingesting CBD. And honestly, from what I've read, if you ingest CBD, what your liver does to it, you're not going to get much of a benefit. So I'm telling you right now, do not ingest CBD. Now, I cannot tell you to stick it under your tongue, because that is still up in the air. But you can topically apply it, okay? You can absolutely topically apply it. So what I am finding are a lot of false and misleading product claims. So I've gone around to a lot of different local stores, like I said, and looked at other products, and I'm seeing gummies that you eat. I'm seeing capsules. I'm seeing liquid droppers labeled for ingestion. I've seen spray bottles. This one I actually got, and I'm not showing you the label on purpose because I'm not here to call out any company. This is a very highly rated oil. I got this before I even knew Young Living was getting into CBD. Didn't work. It's actually a bunch of crap, to be honest. It didn't do anything, but it's a spray. It says spray it in your mouth. There's dog treats out there, pet treats. It is illegal to label CBD for ingestion. So this gets me back to, you've really got to trust the company. I don't trust companies that don't know the law, because what I researched, anybody can research. Why do these companies not know this? How was I able to learn this in a half an hour? I don't trust companies that don't follow the law. So if you are finding products that are labeled for ingestion, you really need to question that company. Now, you know, if those products are helping a dog or helping a person, you know what? Go for it. But I am highly suspicious of companies that don't know the law, because CBD is very controversial. It is being taken up and down the legislative tracks. There's loads of testimony. Now there's a lot of research coming out. And if they don't know the laws, I'm a little suspicious about them. And if I'm suspicious, I'm not going to trust them to be honest on their website when they say, we are full spectrum, but toxin free. Really? Full spectrum? You're pulling all the toxins out of the ground. Tell me your process that you're pulling heavy metals and chlorophyll and toxins out of your CBD without turning it into an isolate. Tell me how you're doing that. Nobody's talking about that. They just make these broad claims. And I think it's very deceptive. So it's going to be interesting to see what the FDA does. I'm predicting right now there's going to be a serious crackdown. That's what I love about Nature's Ultra. They are playing by FDA regulations, and they are not labeling anything for ingestion. So let me talk about pets for a second. The CBD pet market is going to implode. It's just going to really be huge in a couple of years. It is one of the largest growing areas in the CBD market. CBD for pets is not regulated by the FDA. It is my personal opinion to not use full spectrum with pets, because you really need to know that there are no heavy metals and no toxins because of what hemp pulls out of the ground. So you've got to trust the company. And because of what I just said about all the mislabeling and people are saying all of this stuff and they don't know the laws, I'm sorry, I don't trust them. I don't. The thing with pets that I have found, there's no possibility of overdosing. Even with us, there is no possibility of overdosing. Here's what can happen if you give too much. You can just be really relaxed and kind of sedated, or you may actually have an increased appetite. So when I was teaching this class here locally on Friday, we just all started giggling and we're like, oh, kind of like, the marijuana munchies. So here's the thing. There was somebody in the class who actually educated us on this. And there's actually been studies that the munchies that people get from marijuana actually doesn't come from THC. It doesn't come from the high, the ingredient that gives you the high. So is the munchies, the overeating, actually coming from hemp and not marijuana? I don't know. But anyway, that's a side effect of just giving too much, but you can't overdose. So please don't worry about that. There are some cautions of giving CBD if your pet is on other medications, because CBD has to go through the liver, and the liver could be overly taxed. When it comes to people, I'm going to talk about medications in just a little bit. So just if you're giving CBD to pets, I mean, I've gone through a couple of local pet stores. Here, I'm looking at my list right now, and I'm not going to call out any names, but one pet store has 2 different CBD products, both organic, both say that they're THC free, but both are full spectrum. So one of them actually on the label praises that there are no MCT, coconut oil fillers, but MCT is needed to absorb. So it's like, oh yeah, you can praise it, but the absorption is going to be a little not good. So, and the other one actually brags that they use the stalks and the leaves. And I just keep thinking, okay, yeah, that are full of toxins because they are cleaning the soil. So you just got to do your research. Now, Nature's Ultra has a pet product. So here's the thing about the pet product with Nature's Ultra. There's no essential oils in it. What? So luckily, I have had the honor of actually communicating quite extensively with the Chief Operating Officer of Nature's Ultra. And he has just been answering so many of my questions. And right now they are not putting essential oils in the pet CBD because they're watching what the government is doing. And so they said, you know what, we're just going to have the CBD isolate with the coconut oil, the MCT oil in it. But he said, you can put your own essential oils in it. So to really create that, putting the key in the engine with the terpenes and creating that entourage effect, I read off the oils that are really good. Frankincense, copaiba. I mean, those are the 2 that I would be putting in. So definitely do that with Nature's Ultra pet CBD. Put your own essential oils in. Don't ask me how many drops to put in. This is not medicine. You do what you want. Okay? Don't ask me for recipes. That is prescribing, And that's what we don't do with oils and CBD. So just don't even go there. Don't ask me that. So let's talk about, I said I was going to talk about medication with people. Okay, so some side effects, these are not very common, and they're actually not really a big deal. Some side effects of CBD, especially if you just take too much, you may have dry mouth, you may have euphoria. It's not the THC, but you just may feel really good. You may be hungry, or you may be a little tired. Okay, that's not a big deal. It's better than those medication commercials that you see on TV where they spend 2 minutes running through all the side effects. It's like, oh, egads. Yikes. Now, on the Nature's Ultra website, they do talk about drug interactions because CBD can alter how the liver processes medication. And CBD can actually break down and either slow down or quicken the metabolism of some medications. So be careful if you're on warfarin, because CBD can actually increase that and increase the risk of bleeding. And if you're on an NSAID, let's see if I can get this right, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, NSAID, just be careful with CBD, okay? Do your own research, okay? I'm not a doctor. I'm a lawyer who plays a doctor. No, I'm a doctor who plays a lawyer. No, I'm neither. I'm just an attorney. Now, also on the CBD website, Nature's Ultra website, Nature's Ultra has a medical doctor on staff. And this is what he said about if you are on a medication where you have already been told not to take grapefruit juice. And he says, like grapefruit juice, CBD is a cytochrome P450 enzyme inhibitor, which is your liver pathway, and thus can alter the metabolism of some medications. So consult with your medication may metabolize slower or faster. So just a lot of doctors don't know about CBD. So just do your own research, all right? Okay, now let's go back to how you're going to use this. Like I said, any company that labels their CBD for ingestion has violated the law, period. Period. It's up to you whether you want to trust them going forward. I will not trust a company that knowingly violates federal law. Okay? I can't help it. I'm an attorney. So I'm not going to talk about ingesting. I'm not even going to talk about sublingual, even though Nature's Ultra put stevia in their dropper CBD. I'm not going to talk about sticking it under your tongue, and I'm certainly not going to talk about ingesting, okay? Oh, that is so glorious. Oh, smells so good too. But I am going to talk about topical. So you can topically put this on. Now, it is a really good idea to give yourself a solid 30 days before you make a decision on whether this works for you or not. You got to get used to it. So the Nature's Ultra Farm is USDA organic certified, which is amazing. We have 3 different flavors. We have one with cinnamon oil, one with a combination of orange and grapefruit, and another one with a combination of spearmint and peppermint. We have 3 different dosage levels. I have the cinnamon 1,000 milligram. There's 500 milligram in these dropper bottles, okay? Now, when would you want to use the citrus versus the cinnamon versus the mint? So think of what the essential oils do. What does citrus oils do? Okay, citrus oils are calming. They boost your mood. So think about the people who use CBD for mood. You might want to think about the citrus CBD. What about cinnamon? So cinnamon, oh, how can I say this and be compliant? I was going to say the I word. Well, look up cinnamon. You'll know what it does. Anyway, I'm using the cinnamon and I love it. Mint, think of what mint does. Great for digestion, okay? Great for your muscles, great for your bones. So maybe you want to use the CBD mint. Now, there's also a calm roller that has eucalyptus, frankincense, lavender, orange, vetiver, and ylang-ylang, all calming oils mixed with CBD and the MCT coconut oil. That is a 300 milligram, and it comes in a roller ball. Okay. And then there's a muscle rub that comes in either 300 or 600 milligram. It's an ointment. You just dig it out and rub it on. And that has camphor, tea tree, lemon, peppermint, clove, wintergreen, helichrysum, arnica, which is homeopathy, and wormwood. I'd be adding some copaiba, black pepper, marjoram, because think of what your muscles want. Marjoram loves muscles. So does black pepper and copaiba. And then for the pets, it's either 200 or 400 milligram. No essential oils in it. Add your own. Now, here's the thing about you can start slow, but a full dropper, I mean, it actually says, here, I need to empty this. Otherwise it'll drip all over my computer. Can you see? It's actually labeled on it. It says 1 milliliter. 1 ml, so 1 dropper full has, if it's the 1000, it has 33 milligrams of CBD, and if it's the 500, it has half. It has about 16 milligrams of CBD. So you know what's interesting? Remember I told you I bought this really super crappy CBD that's very popular, very highly rated. I'm sorry, it didn't work. It didn't do anything for me. And you want to know why? 2 sprays has the equivalent of 1 milligram. And 2 sprays is a serving. This has 33 milligrams. What's more potent? If you're going to use it, you might as well have it work for you. Now, last thing I want to talk about is, and I'm not saying that CBD does this, but these are some of the studies that are happening with CBD right now and that have already been finalized. And you can just go on to pubmed.com and type in CBD. But here are some of the areas where CBD has been researched, and you can check it out yourself. Pain, anxiety, depression, seizures. In fact, 2 rare pediatric seizure disorders now have an FDA-approved CBD drug. Isn't that amazing? So seizures, neurological, so everything from memory, mood, cognitive function, sleep, stroke, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, rheumatoid arthritis, schizophrenia, that's all neurological. That's all being studied. Skin. So our endocannabinoid system is actually in our skin. So they're studying CBD for skin. They're studying it in relation to cancer, autoimmune, bone health, heart health, eye health, hair growth, dripping it on your scalp, and addiction. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to regurgitate on all you guys. So I'm going back through some of the comments. So here on Facebook Live, Gloria, yeah, 2 to 3 stores in your town already have people giving free samples on the corner. No, 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 no. Don't take a free sample of CBD from anybody, especially if they're selling it out of their trunk. That would be horrible. So for those who are on Zoom, if you have any questions that you want to type in the chat, feel free to do that. Like I said, I am simulcasting this, and I'm really happy to see those of you here on Zoom. So I got 2 things going at once on my computer screen. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in. I'll answer them live. Or here on the Manifested Harmony Facebook page, you can come back and type questions and I'll answer them. But for me, because I'll tell you, I was not sold on CBD because I see such tremendous results with essential oils, tremendous results. And it's like, why would I want something else? And here's why. CBD is another tool in the toolbox, because you don't go to build a bookshelf with just a screwdriver. You need a screwdriver and a hammer, and you need a saw to saw the wood. And if you're like me, you need super glue. So you need a lot of things in your toolbox. And when I want to share my story with you real quick of what happened with me and my aha moment. And it's because I had to really tweak what I was doing. So I somehow hurt my left hip doing yard work, and I could not lift my leg. I live in a house with a bunch of stairs. It made it challenging going up and down the stairs. Nothing was working for about 4 days. And then a friend of mine said, put the CBD oil topically, and then I covered it with Deep Relief and Panaway. And I am not kidding. I am not exaggerating when I say in 1 second, I could lift my leg. Like pretend like I was marching. I could lift my leg in 1 second. The discomfort came back in 5 minutes, so I did it again. So the one thing that I've learned about CBD is the more you use it, the longer it stays in the body. So my first time out, it only lasted about 5 minutes, but then I did it again. Okay, so you got to figure out what works for you, but I now layer it. I layer it with the oils because we know that oils are terpenes, and that's what puts the key in the engine, turns the engine for that entourage effect in the body. So, so I'm really happy with Nature's Ultra. I like it because it's an isolate. There's no THC, there's no toxins, there's no heavy metals. I like it that they put the MCT oil in for absorption. I like it that they put our pure essential oils in to create the terpene effect. And I like that they're following the law and not labeling for ingestion. I like that they have the seed to seal process and the transparency and the standards in place that no one else has. So this is why I like this. And it took a lot to convince me. It really did. I have been studying this for months. It took a lot. And my aha moment really helped. So, all right. Okay, on Zoom, could you define the entourage effect one more time? Yes. So the entourage effect is when you have all the parts and pieces working together. And CBD, when you have the terpene in, creates, it gives you kind of that final piece so that the CBD can actually go into the little receptors and work, okay? Without the terpenes, you don't get that sort of activation going. I mean, CBD can have some benefits, but it's not gonna have what's called the entourage effect. Now, if you all want to really dive deep into this, Dr. Oliver Wenker has a book on CBD and essential oils. Just Google Dr. Oliver Wenker. It is a brilliant book. He is the one that started putting essential oils in CBD, and really, we need to give him credit for helping Young Living and Nature's Ultra come together. All right, next question. Where would somebody research CBD and medicine interaction? I would get Dr. Oliver Wenker's book and get on his Facebook page because he is a medical doctor out of Houston, and he was Gary Young's personal physician. He is the one we need to be learning from. This is why, like when I teach about essential oils, I say, you really need to learn from Young Living specific resources because everything else out there are dealing with inferior adulterated oils. So we don't follow what they say. We can do broader, greater things because of our oils. Now that we have Dr. Wenker, plus there's Dr. Call, who is with Nature's Ultra. We have doctors that we can learn from, specific to Nature's Ultra. And so I would just start learning from them, and do not just Google CBD because you're going to find all sorts of ridiculous information out there. All right. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Anything else that you can think of? All right. I'm not seeing anything else, so I'm going to go ahead and finish here on the Facebook page. Everybody, thanks for joining in. Post questions below if you have them. And I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom here. So thanks everybody for joining in. I hope it was helpful. I really appreciate you being here. See you guys later.